This week, Evgeniy Kharam is with us to discuss soft skills for engineers. Then Paul Wynn from Permiso joins us to talk about how attackers exploit identity gaps to get in. Finally, in the enterprise security news, we check the vibes, we check the funding, we check RunZero's latest release notes. There are tons of free tools to talk about, the latest TTPs from attackers, supply chain threats, certs won't save you, GRC needs disruption, the latest in the rippling deal drama, all that and more in this episode of Enterprise Security Weekly.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
It's the show where we talk security vendors and aren't afraid to name names. It's Enterprise Security Weekly. Do your end users always, and I mean always, without exception, work on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps? I didn't think so. So my next question is, how do you keep your company's data safe when it's sitting on all those unmanaged apps and devices? 1Password has an answer to this question: Extended Access Management. 1Password Extended Access Management helps you secure every sign-in for every app on every device because it solves the problems traditional IAM and MDM can't touch. Check it out at securityweekly.com/1password.
Welcome to Enterprise Security Weekly and happy National Film Score Day. This is episode 401, recorded on Thursday, April 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria. And joining me is the Baron of Bloodhound, the Pirate King of PowerShell, Sean Metcalf. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, Adrian, doing well. National Film Score Day. I like that. And one of my favorite film scores is that to the movie Inception, and of course, anything by John Williams.
Yeah, Inception's a good one. I think my favorite one is Danny Elfman's original score for the first Men in Black movie.
Oh, that was
I've always liked his scores. He scored a lot of stuff, including the original Batman. He did a bunch of those movies with I'm blanking on the name of the director for that movie, but that was a long time partnership.
Yeah.
And then
Tim Burton, I think.
Yeah. And then more recently, Hans Zimmer, I think just nails
Zimmer.
it with movies like Interstellar and Dune.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one I was
Dune,
going to mention.
definitely good one.
Awesome stuff. All right, quick announcement. Do you have a favorite film score, Evgeniy?
No, actually, not one. I'm just thinking right now when you guys talking. From film perspective, probably The Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Berettas from like 35 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's counted or not.
If it's a film score, it counts. A lot of time people get the soundtrack mixed up with the film score. So the film score is like the orchestral. It's not always orchestral. Like when Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor team up, it's more of like a vibe that they create, like The Social Network. If you've listened to that, that was the first time they teamed up. But then the soundtrack is like the popular music featured in the movie, like what you hear during the credits and things like that. All right, quick announcement, and then we'll get to the interview. Identiverse 2025 is returning to Las Vegas June 3rd through 6th. Hear from over 250 expert speakers and connect with over 3,000 identity security professionals across 4 days of keynotes, breakout sessions, and deep dives into the latest identity security trends. Plus, take part in hands-on workshops and explore the brand new non-human identity pavilion, which the more I say it, the more I'm curious what this thing looks like. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, if you're human, how you can be there? You have to be non-human, I guess.
Non-human identity pavilion. Is it going to be a bunch of like Star Wars bots? Is it going to be robots? I don't know. Register now, and we'll find out together. I'll be doing live interviews from there, so I will finally get to find out when I get there. You can save 25% with code IDV25-SecurityWeekly at the URL securityweekly.com/IDV2025. All right, today's topic is soft skills for engineers. We're excited to have Evgeniy Kharam with us today. Evgeniy is an author, cybersecurity architect, advisor, and podcaster with over 25 years of experience, including work with global VARs and MSSPs. He wrote in the bio that he's an awarded dad and outdoor enthusiast. I feel like I need to see those awards, or I'm calling bullshit on that.
Problem. I'll make sure you see me.
All right. Welcome to the show, Evgeniy. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. This is an interesting conversation. Honestly, I associate this kind of conversation more with BSW, where they talk about leadership skills and things like that. But I think this is more broad. I think this is, you know, this is not necessarily a conversation just for the CISO. This is really for really important for individual contributors, for people just getting into the industry, for all different levels. I would say, right?
Definitely. And I had this conversation with several people where we have like a lovely argument that soft skills is leadership skills. And I respectively disagree because if you're not a leader, if you're a programmer, if you're an engineer, SOC, pen tester, you still need to communicate your ideas. You still need to talk to other people. And this is potentially nothing leadership there. It's just your opinion, or you need to connect to a customer. You need to connect to your friends. You need to explain, guide, be guided, being vulnerable, many, many different things. And unfortunately, in many cases, we focus on the management, on the leadership, and not always helping the other people to grow.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how often somebody sends me something, and it's just it is not a fully formed thought or sentence, or like just it feels like these skills have only devolved over time as people spend more time online. Like they just have less patience to correct misspellings, read it over before they hit send. Just simple things like that. Just read it again. Does it make sense? If
But this could be as well, like you and me spoke about focus many times before. And this could be Adrian or like Sean, what's the best way for you to explain my ideas? I remember like 10 years ago, I had one employee and he wrote me 3 pages. And I'm like, why? Like he basically was explaining how he's
in an
thinking
email.
and where he's going with this. And I asked him, like, why do you do that? Can you just get to the point in the beginning of the email and then tell me everything else? He's like, oh, this is what we used to do before. Like, okay, it's not your mistake. I realize. Let's understand. I understand there is something behind you, but the way I would like to get information is in the first line, what's the problem? What you're trying to solve? Give me the details. And if you want to write the essay later on, give a guess. Do it.
I do this. I will write 3 pages, but then I'll read through it, and then I'll delete 2 of the pages, and then I'll read through it again. Like it'll end up 2 sentences, or less than a paragraph. But that's just there's a difference between your thought process and how you have to get that out, and communication with another person, and
It'll
and
be
you
all
know that
different.
yeah, yeah, and the importance of being concise. I remember working with a procurement guy that his emails were like a brain scan. Like he would type something and then he would just hit periods. Like there'd just be dot 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 until the next thought came to him, and he'd press enter, write another thought, and you just have this email just full of all these statements ending with dots. There would be hundreds and hundreds of periods throughout each email, and it was just bizarre to me.
And they're just email. And in many cases, we can do email communication, verbal communication, sometimes even worse for people when they need to meet someone at the function, at the party, at the conference, at the customer,
Hmm.
and they need to talk face to face. There's no time to think. There's no time to hide. There's no time to delete, rewrite. You want to have the small talk. You want to have the concise talk, and you need to understand who needs what. Do I go to details? Do I go to now
Yeah,
talking about business? We mentioned engineers in the beginning. I think one of the biggest challenges, or more called problems, is do you output your ideas in the language you understand or your best friends understand, or in the language that somebody else understands? I have this job, they put an accounting person and a developer person in the same room and tell them only use the acronyms you use with your friends. They will lose each other after 5 minutes completely. And this is the clue. Do I just talk technical? Do I talk business? Do I do maybe metaphors? Can I explain cybersecurity in a metaphor of a house? Or like
yeah.
this is the idea of there's so many different options to do it. And we always complain about active listening, which is just, for me, driving me a bit nuts because, oh, you're not actively listening, but wait. For me to actively listen, I need to have empathy. I need to care about what you're talking. And if you kind of go
Yeah.
back, I need to be curious enough. Because if I'm not curious about you, there is no empathy, there is no
Yeah.
active listening. So it's almost like a framework. I cannot get to the last step if I don't have the first one.
It's always I find it frustrating talking to somebody who's clearly thinking about the next thing that they're gonna say, not what you're saying, right? And then the next thing that they say doesn't line up with what you're saying, so it's you just feel like, "What's the point here? We're not communicating." Um,
Is this because they are not, not I don't want to say strong enough, not confident enough in their ability to tell you what's happening? So they kind of preparing the next idea because they want to sound confident.
mhm.
And you, somebody been around for a long time, understand and see this that they are not with you.
I think it's oftentimes in if you're debating something, if you have coming with two differing opinions, like they're thinking they want to get out all their bullet points from their side of the argument. Like it would almost be a better discussion to have once you both wrote and published blog posts, read each other's blog posts, and then have the conversation, right?
Let's bring it like down to like engineering level, okay? Let's, I
Mhm.
don't know, SOC, incident response, professional services. You did something, you need to go report it back to your teammate or to your manager.
Yeah,
Okay, how do you do that? Do you come and say, or like, Adrian, this happened. So I need to check that Adrian actually listening to me right now. It's a good time. Sean is also here. They're not trying to solve something else. And only then output. And also I want to understand what's the best way to do it. Concise, long, explain. Maybe they want to know if there's a problem with these customers that we need to escalate right now because we need to fix. Or maybe everything is okay with this customer or in a company, and we're just getting the information because we want to know what happened. So there's a lot of nuances here when we see younger engineers, but sometimes
yeah,
not all younger engineers. They just have an idea in their mind how it needs to be done without coming to. But at the same time, the management, mature management, can guide the people. What is the best way to communicate with them?
yeah, yeah. And it's I think of it kind of like API documentation, right? Like what am I allowed what should I be communicating here? Is there, a giant empty field for a blob for an unstructured rant to go in there? An engineer comes to you with a problem, instead of telling you what the problem is, they're irritated about this and this didn't work right, and the manager just wants to know, like just tell me what I can do for you, like just get to the point. What's the problem? They need or want something really concise, and I've worked for managers like this before, and the best thing we did is we did one of those, you know I don't know how much you like these different personality tests that are out there, but we did one of these
There's many.
personality tests, and once we shared that and talked about it, and I realized he was I need you to get to the point as quickly as possible kind of guy. I communicated completely differently with him. He didn't want to chit chat. He wanted to cut all this stuff out, but he didn't want to be rude, so he wouldn't stop you. But knowing that, after I knew that, much easier to communicate with him. He's happier. I'm happier.
I, I, don't- I don't think we're telling everyone go do the test. There's many
Right.
different tests,
There
colors,
are different
this.
ways to get to those.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think the easiest way is one, have during the one-on-one, ask the management, I want to understand how to better communicate. There's a better way to explain to you ideas. Are you a visual person? Are you an audio person? Are you like to be concise? There's so many ways. And by the way, I'm trying to learn how do I do it as well, because we all learn in one way or another, in one point. So we all can know, are we better in reading? Are we better in listening, writing? So it kind of, if we sit down, we understand how we consume information. So this could be the way you can tell your manager when you want to do, when you want to do something, this is how I better understand. Not just with management. This could be with your teammates, because what you mentioned about personalities, very important, because we may and probably end up with different people personalities in our teams. Some will be very good in short tasks, some will be very good with focus switching, some will be do good with long tasks, or maybe understanding the bigger picture. And the moment you understand this part, then you can build almost like basketball the best team ever.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we hit on this, and you mentioned, is being concise, and being able to provide the information in a level that's appropriate to the audience. So part of that is even doing a TLDR at the top and then having another paragraph or two for
Right.
more information. I've seen some horrible resumes that have gotten really good people in to interview, and I've seen some great resumes where I couldn't get anything out of the person that I was interviewing because they just didn't know how to talk about themselves or talk in an interview, answer questions beyond very short answers. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that interview is bidirectional. It's two different ways. It's like a conversation, and I think it's important to be able to have that skill to interview. But that's something that you have to train, you have to practice, you have to work on. How do you think that what do you think is the best idea for people to get better with some of these soft skills, like being able to speak with someone, especially when
Yeah,
they're out somewhere and
yeah.
the person's a stranger, in a networking opportunity?
So we don't have 2 hours. We only have like 10, 15 minutes, but we'll do something. So first of all, you start practicing everywhere. And some of the easiest places to practice, this could be my favorite one, when you're buying groceries. You're buying groceries, a cashier is standing there, a woman and a man. They've been there for a long time. Try to make a conversation with them. Try to make them smile. If you make them smile, one, you're able to connect. You made their day better and you kind of did your homework. Now, why it's important? Because if you didn't smile, you didn't lose anything. But it's practicing you to connect to random people, and you need to find what I call a hook. This could be the weather, this could be the election, this could be something else happened in the store. You want to find some kind of connection with this person. And this connection become important because if they got the hook, they're smiling and you can talk to them. And it can work with anybody else as well. Because if I know that you like golf, if I know you like certain hobbies, this is the topics we can talk to about to connect to you better. I learned that doesn't matter who you are, introvert, extrovert, whatever the word it is, if I can find what you like and I kind of can ping on it, poke on it, tell me more about it, you will talk. You will
Yeah.
explain, you will get excited. Even for people, so I don't like golf, but I will be happy to learn and understand why you like golf, for example. And I'll listen, like, tell me, like, inspire me. What do you like about it? I'm trying to understand myself. And this is amazing way to connect with people. And it doesn't have to be at work. But the moment you do this a lot, not all the time, but a lot, it's become second nature. It's much easier than when you come to a function, when you come to the interview, when you come to ask for a raise or a second screen or a stand-up desk, whatever it is, you already know how to do this dance. And another part that I think is very important and it's very favorite topic of mine is fear. Because I may be afraid to talk to someone. I may be afraid to go ask for another screen or explain my ideas or kind of push a new project. But if you go deeper on this, fear and excitement quite similar to each other. It's just with fear, we don't know the outcome. With excitement, we know the outcome. Adrian, can I have another screen? No. Then I can I have another screen? Yes. Yeah. So if I knew in advance that Adrian can give me another screen or the stand-up desk, I would be very excited to talk with Adrian about this part. Now, what's happening in most of the cases, the bigger the stakes, the bigger the fear. If we learn that fear is connected to excitement, we can flip the mental mode and say, oh, I'm scared. Wait a second. Am I scared or am I excited? Maybe I'm just
Mhm.
excited because it's a big one. I asked Adrian for a pen, I got a pen. I asked Adrian for a book, I got a book. But now I'm asking for a screen, now it's kind of more scary. So I can actually flip this. And for people that have kids, the moment you put them on a slide first time, they're going to be scared. But the moment you overcome the fear, it's again, 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 because you know the outcome. And it's speaking, public speaking, the bigger the oh my God, crowd, the bigger the excitement or the fear, because it's something new. And this is very fundamental in my mind. The moment you start thinking about this in communication, if you're scared, you want to transfer to excitement. here's an interesting part for the geeks of us. If you're scared, your CPU, all the threads, are focusing on being scared. So nothing left to watch the communication, nothing left to understand the cues. And then, as you're saying, nothing left to listen to you because I'm thinking about what to say next.
Yeah.
But if you're able to relax and your CPU is now not at 100%, 40%, now
Free up some
opening the
cores.
threads. Yes,
I
free
love
some
I love
cores
this metaphor.
to watch the language, to watch how I speak, to watch the cues, to watch my presentation, to watch what's happening with me. Like literally, this is what's happening with us. And there's definitely so many things we can do to learn how to relax and free some cores,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's yeah, and that is something you want to figure out in an interview. Is this someone who's going to be scared to ask for what they need to get their job done, right? You don't want somebody scared to engage, scared to request what they need, or push back on something they don't think is right. You want somebody to be that comfortable, and that's uh, both. You need a person willing to do that, but also a manager that's receptive to that kind of stuff. So I think for a lot of these things, you have to have them on both sides. And a lot of people have had bad managers. And I feel like maybe that's where some of this bad communication, some of these habits come from. Like one example, I'm used to after working in startups for a while. I've worked for a few founders that are very particular about things. They want to be um, everything run by them. And I do a lot of work for CRA. I do a lot of webinars, and sometimes we get in titles and abstracts. And I'm telling Bill Brenner, who I work with on a lot of this stuff. He's effectively my boss, even though I'm independent. I'm a contractor, and I'll hit him up in Teams, and I'm like, it sounds like it was written by ChatGPT. It sounds like it was written by marketing. Like this is these two bullet points of what we're going to talk about conflict with each other. It doesn't make any sense. Like we can do one or the other. We can't do both. And he'll just reply. He'll say, and then I'll say, do you
Listen.
want me to do you want me to just fix it and send you the copy? And he's like, So like he's still kind of getting, I've got this kind of employment trauma from my past where like I feel like I have to sell it, I have to justify the change, like I've got to do all this stuff before I'm even allowed to change any wording or anything like that. And he's like, I trust you, just change it, just send me the changes and we'll fix it.
Yeah, one of my favorite people that I follow is Ramit Sethi, and he talks about how people are busy, everyone's busy. And one of the best things you can do is send an email that makes it easy for someone to reply, yes, go do that.
Yeah. Well, and to do that, you have to understand their perspective, right? You have to understand what's easy for them to say yes to. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I feel like there's some discovery that has to happen there.
It's a very important topic, in everything, in cybersecurity as well, in penetration testing and communication as well, because people always ask, hey, so how do I know what kind of hobby somebody likes? And we can go on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Facebook, look on what they're posting, look what they're doing. You will get an idea of what people like and what people don't like. Of course, don't be like very, very particular. Hi, Adrian, how are you doing? Hi, Sean. I saw you in a yacht last summer. It was very nice. Like again, just kind of be respectful to people. But this dance of communication is very interesting. And also, I think there is different nuances. We talk a lot about questions. In many cases, people ask closed-ended questions, especially in consulting, very important. We're not doing yes, no, yes, no. You want to open up questions. This can also be an interview. You want to understand more about the person. You understand more about the company. So don't ask, like we can practice this right now. Like, Sean, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Right. Didn't help me at all. Like, okay, all right. Like, what I do is it right now, But I can ask, Sean, what's your favorite color and why?
Red, because I like the color.
Oh, okay. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I was a Chicago Bulls fan growing up, and their colors were red and black, so I really like the combination of red and black.
So I added why he was still very close. I asked, can you elaborate? He opened up. Now we can guess that you like basketball. We can play on this. Did you play basketball in your school? So we can open up the conversation to much more. And this could
Yeah.
be, do you have a firewall? Yes. Is it this and this? Yes. Doesn't help me, but can you tell me about your firewall configuration, your network? So there are so many different ways to play with open closed questions and open questions and closed questions, because it's important during the conversation to move it forward, to understand where
Mm.
you're going.
Yeah, and I imagine, there's going to be cases where you maybe want it to be a closed question.
Yes.
Maybe I have 100 things I need to ask. I've got 30 minutes. I don't want it to lead to more discussion. Like we need to get through this compliance audit or,
100%.
something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. If you need to know how many endpoints or users somebody has, yes. It's not describing your user infrastructure and how they connect. It's telling me this part. So everything has its place. Depend where are you. If you're just a beginning of conversation, sometimes exploring better. If you're actually trying to achieve something, then you want more closings because you need to get to the point.
Yeah, and Sean, something you said, made me think like, for you to send that email that's an easy yes, you kind of have to understand excitement and fear as it applies to your boss, which requires listening to your boss. Like, what does your boss complain about?
Hmm. Yes.
You should know if you send your boss a request that they're going to have to also send up the chain. If it's something that's going to give them fear because they know they're going to get smacked down, or they've already been talked to, don't bring us any more budget requests or something like that. Like if you listen to them, most people will complain about things are well, we'll talk about things they're excited about, or complain about things that they're afraid of. um, and if you listen to that stuff, you probably have a better chance of getting that yes when you send that email, right?
Yeah.
Or knowing how to assemble that email to get that yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some information gathering there, some more cybersecurity metaphors, collecting information, understanding it. So, what else are you working on here, Evgeny? You mentioned you want to do more in this topic.
There's a
Yeah.
book, yeah, but there's gonna be more in the topic. There's a book that I wrote, released in August 2024, about soft skills and connecting to people, more towards sales and sales engineers. But there's a lot
Hmm.
of ideas to write book about fear and overcoming fear, and soft skills toward technology people. And actually, because I'm a second-time immigrant, how to help people that are not first-time English speaker, so for language. My English for me is third language, definitely harder for us. They have more anxiety, more fears there as well.
Hmm. Right. Right. Yeah, and it's yeah, sales is interesting, right? When I've trained sales in the past, I often talk about the light bulb moment, trying to find that light bulb moment, which is that moment that you get engagement, that you mention something that's relatable to the person that you're talking to. They become animated, like you can physically see a change when you hit on that light bulb moment. But there's a lot of research you have to do to figure out how to get there. So that's maybe not just figuring out that they're fans of the Bulls, but what are their pain points, related to the whatever you're selling them, right?
So
All right, this is good stuff. I'm excited to check out the book. This is the first time I've heard the fear and excitement part kind of attached to this, and I feel like soft skills is kind of demeaning to how important this is for everything that we do. But I don't know that we have a better. Is there a better term for it?
maybe some people call it human skills, communication skills. I think it's a combination of everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like human
Okay.
skills.
Well, let us know when that book becomes available,
It's
and
available. It's out.
it is
It's on
it is
Amazon.
out.
Yeah, it is out. It's out from August. Yeah,
All
the
right,
first
I
book
will
is
have to
out.
get
Yeah,
that in the show notes. I feel like I did a bad job prepping here. Yeah, this is an example of bad soft skills right here. All right, I will get that in the show notes and make sure we share that with our audience. All right,
very good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today on Enterprise Security Weekly, Evgeniy.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We will be back in a few moments. We will be talking about how attackers exploit identity gaps with Paul Wynn from Permiso.